lovers, it is G-Swizz here, and guess what? I'm excited to talk about books again. Oh my goodness, guys. So the other day, I had a bit of a breakdown. But let's be real, this whole massive year has been a breakdown for me so far. As I was saying, I had a bit of a breakdown, but this time it was like in regards to books and reading. And you know, I live in a room full of books. It's so funny how I do live in a room full of books, but I haven't been passionate about reading books in a while. Like, you know, I've been going through a big reading slump, and I just constantly found myself either skim reading a book or just not paying attention to a new story, and I just got so frustrated with myself. Like, I was literally questioning my existence. I'm like, you know, I'm a booktuber, I'm passionate about stories, yet I cannot focus on a single book these days. I didn't know what was happening with me. Like, I didn't feel like myself. And then all of a sudden my brain went into a downward spiral, and then all of a sudden I asked myself, will I ever be passionate about reading again? Will I ever be passionate about talking about books on my channel? I will always be passionate about stories. I've been binge watching some pretty good TV series, I'm not gonna lie, but will I ever be passionate about books again? Especially with my huge TBR. And then literally within 2 hours, I picked a book up. I started reading it, and I didn't skim read it. I was actually engrossed in it. I was able to pay attention to it because I picked the right book up. So, kids, believe in your dreams. Anything is possible. Anyway, I am actually here to talk about my O.W.L.S TBR of 2019. So, everybody was doing this magical readathon last year, and I was very late to the game, and I really wanted to be a part of it, even though I hate readathons. In fact, everybody keeps on saying that readathons will help me want to read again. But majority of the time, if I check a readathon out, usually there's at least one to maybe even all prompts in that readathon that I absolutely do not want to participate with because they just never cater to me whatsoever. I feel like G from the Book Roast, who is hosting this readathon, has like really hit the nail on the head with all these prompts. But not only that, this readathon is a month-long readathon, and that's for me. I will barely participate in a readathon if it is a week or under. I especially hate 24-hour readathons. And this is just my personal opinion. You know why? Because I hate pressuring myself to read stuff, especially if I don't want to read it. Whereas with fortnight/month-long readathons, I prefer them because there's barely any pressure, and I know that it's doable. Especially if I have one busy week in particular, I have the other week to catch up, or to read, or to binge read before that crazy week comes up. That's why I like month-long readathons, even though I don't necessarily participate in them all the time. There are a few that I do. The O.W.L.S is one that I'm able to accept. It's a month-long readathon, it's doable, and there's only 12 prompts, and a bunch of people might be thinking, there's 12 prompts, like I can't read that much in a month. I used to read that much in a month all the time, so I want to get back to that place, and I feel like this might be a good way to do it, especially because I don't have too many books to prioritize on my TBR. I mean, I have all of them. Let's be real. I haven't read in a while, so I don't have urgency to get to some particular book, so let's give myself that urgency by giving myself an O.W.L.S TBR. So let me quickly try to explain what the O.W.L.S is. It's a Harry Potter wizarding themed readathon where you work towards getting a wizarding career. Being the decisive person that I am, that was sarcasm. Did I choose a career that I want to do? No, I haven't chosen a career I want to do yet, but my aim is just to finish all the prompts, and then I have until August to figure it out. So when I'm actually doing my notes, which is the next part of the readathon coming up later on this year, I'll have time to decide. I just want to get all these prompts done so I can decide. Alchemist would be like the dream, but being a professor seems really cool because that involves humor, and that's a personality trait I have, I guess. Is humor a personality trait? Anyway, I feel like everybody knows what the O.W.L.S is by now if you have been on BookTube for a while. And I'm going to be going through the prompts in order, and just like the amazing decisive person that I am, again, sarcasm, I have given myself options with every single one of these books. Maybe some of the books are concrete, but some of them might be swapping around, or some of them I might be changing. Oh, and by the way, I'm pretty sure last year I did the extra charm. Even though I didn't fully announce it on my channel, I'm pretty sure I did mention it on my Twitter. So I did that, which gives me an extra few days grace, which means I was able to start the readathon early. So I've already started. I've already read a few of these books, and that is good because I'm finally reading again. I read when I started to feel like reading again, and that's important. Without further ado, let's get into this. I've already filmed 8 minutes of footage, and I haven't even started with my TBR. So the first subject we will be taking for our O.W.L.S is Ancient Runes. And for this one, you've got to read a retelling. For this prompt, I decided I wanted to read The Star Touch Queen by Rishoni Chokshi. Let's just say it's about time that I read one of her books because I have 3 books on my TBR from her. I have a 4th on the way because I still haven't received my YA Chronicles box from January. Yeah, and that's not because they haven't sent it to me, it's because I haven't picked it up, okay? So subscribe to them, okay? It's not their fault, it's mine. So I have a bunch of her books on my TBR. I still haven't read any of them. And this this goes perfectly with this prompt, and it also goes very well with the astronomy prompt. But I won't be reading this book for the astronomy prompt because I've already read another book for the astronomy prompt. So yeah, I guess you could say it works both ways, but I'm pretty sure this is a Hades and Persephone retelling, and I'm really excited for that. So yeah, this will be the book that I'm reading for Ancient Runes. The next subject we will be taking at Hogwarts will be arithmetic. And for this one, you've got to read a book written by more than one author. And this one, I haven't decided on one specifically, but I'm more than likely going to be picking up a graphic novel for this one. I do not want to confirm nor deny that I will be reading Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. I've said it for a monthly TBR book way too much on my channel, and I need to stop making promises. So I'm not going to promise anything. There's a chance that I might read it, but if not, my other option will be The Wicked and the Divine Volume 5 by Gillan and Mckelvey. I love that series. I've continued on with that series, and I'm like engrossed in the world, but I want to get to Saga sometime of this year, but I really just need to be in the right mood for Saga. Like, I started the first few pages, and I was really excited for it. It's just, I wasn't in the right mindset to read it, so I'm hoping that I will eventually be in the right mindset to read it. That's technically going to be the one I prioritize, but there's no promises, okay? The next subject test we will be taking at Hogwarts will be astronomy, like I mentioned earlier. For this one, you've got to read a book with star in the title. Now, Star Touch Queen could count, but then I also recently read a book with star in the title. When I say recently, I binge read it yesterday. That, my friends, is Defy The Stars by Claudia Gray. I started and I finished this book yesterday, and I really did have a good time. In fact, this was a reread. So the first time I read it at the wrong time in my life. This was the first book with a romance that I read just after getting my heart broken. And it was the worst thing ever because it took me out of the story. It wasn't that I hated the book because of the romance, but because the romance does play a big part in this book. I couldn't really ship them because I wasn't in the right mood to ship, if that makes sense. I also prefer the Firebird trilogy by Claudia Gray to be real. Now, upon rereading this book, I totally get its hype. Like, it's actually a very well written sci-fi, and it just reminded me why I love sci-fi and why I love Claudia Gray's writing so much. And she does write amazing characters. It's just I couldn't get on board with them at first. I read it at the right time, even though like I haven't been mentally okay at the moment. At least I'm in the right mindset to ship characters. So yeah, I reread this for this readathon. Alright, the next subject will be Care of Magical Creatures. And for this one, you've got to read a book with a land animal on the cover. I am choosing a book that I have pre-ordered and it's on its way. It is our Biblio Squad book pick of the month for April. And that, my friends, is Descendant of the Crane. I totally forgot the author's name. Like, this is great. I just have not been into new releases whatsoever. This was the first book I have ordered in 2 months. 2 months! And you guys might be wondering,
G-Swizzel, didn't you have to buy the previous Biblio Squad book pick of the month?
I mean, I would have if the amazing publisher didn't send it to me unsolicited. But the amazing publisher did send it to me unsolicited. So thank you so much, Alan and Unwin, for sending me 4 Dead Queens. Because I didn't have to buy the book, but because I've been under financial turmoil, yeah, I haven't bought a book in 2 months. And Descendant of the Crane is the book that is breaking that. Even though it's one of the only books that I can actually buy, I still feel good that I've actually been able to buy a book, you know? Anyway, the author's name is Joan Heath. Now, technically, a lot of you guys might also be thinking,
G-Swizzel, it's a crane, it flies, it's not a land animal.
Well, it doesn't live underwater, so yeah, I'm counting it as this prompt. If not, I'll go with The Wicked and the Divine Volume 5 because that has a bug on it. And that's a land animal, so yeah, that technically counts. Alright, the next subject I will be taking will be Charms. This challenge is known as the Ageline challenge, and for this challenge, you've got to read an adult work. The adult work that I am currently reading, I only just started it yesterday night, and I was cracking up so much. I did not want to go to bed because I just wanted to keep reading this book. This book is nerdy goodness. It might look like a light and fluffy YA book, but no, it does not count as YA. It is very much an adult mystery book that's pretty geeky. The Con Artist by Fred Van Lente. Now, this book is a murder mystery that takes place at Comic-Con, and it is hilarious. Oh my goodness, I laughed out loud so much yesterday night. I had to try to keep it down for my family because my room is not soundproof, so it was really hard because I'm really enjoying myself reading this book and I find it really funny, and I get all the pop culture references, which is pretty cool. It is written in a way that Ready Player One is written, in that there is a lot of like nerdy info dumping and stuff. So if you don't like Ready Player One for those reasons, I don't know if you'd like this book, to be honest, but I'm enjoying it so much and I loved Ready Player One, so there's that. I mean, there are a few other books on my TBR that I could use for this prompt, but at the moment this is the one I'm currently reading, so I'm adding this to the Ageline challenge. The next subject we've got to pass is Defense of the Dark Arts.
I obviously meant to say Defense Against the Dark Arts. I'm a disgrace to the fandom, and I'm going now.
For this class we will be studying Reducto, and for the prompt we've got to read a book with R in the title. Now, like I said, I like giving myself options. This is why I don't know what I want to do with my life. It's not because there isn't a career out there for me. It's because there are too many choices. There are too many choices. I don't want to restrict myself to one. If you guys were thinking I was just referring to my Hogwarts career, no, I was talking about my in real life career. But yeah, you know what? The Hogwarts career thing, it counts for that as well. So I have 3 options. If I want to read a contemporary, I will read Remember to Forget by Ashley Royer. If I want to read like a mystery, thriller, fantasy thing, I don't even know what the series is, but hey, I have the first book on my shelf because my friend gave it to me. I will read Rivers of London by Ben Aronovich. And if I want to read a YA desert fantasy, I will read Reign the Earth by A.C. Gorgon. I literally cannot decide which one I want to read, and I know a lot of people are going to lean towards Reign the Earth because this is a very popular YA fantasy, but I'm not always in the mood to read a YA fantasy, you know? And I don't want to read this book at the wrong time because, again, I got given another book unsolicited by a publisher. I got given the sequel unsolicited, and so I do want to get into the series eventually, but I want to read it at the right time. If I'm feeling like a contemporary, I'll read Remember to Forget. But if I want to read something that doesn't count as YA, Rivers of London is the way to go. The next subject we will be taking will be Divination, and for this one, we've got to read a book that is set in the future. Now, realistically, technically, there are a lot of books on my TBR that are set in the future, but I wanted a specific one, so if it has like a year that is set in the future, that's a confirmation that the book is set in the future for me. I mean, like, even though like everything is technically futuristic, because I like futuristic post-apocalyptic fiction, I wanted something that was specific. The Disasters by M.K. England has a specific year that it takes place in. According to my Novel Sense and Co-Candle that I got given from the YA Chronicles a few months back, it follows the fail class of 2194. So technically, yeah, that is how you know that this book is set in the future. There's a concrete year that it is set in. And of course I need to read it. I want to read this before Aurora Rising because apparently this is among the lines of Aurora Rising, but Aurora Rising is better. And so I want to read this one to kind of like help me get into the anticipation of that. And also it's compared to the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, what more could I want, really? The next subject I have to take from my owls will be herbology. For this one, I've got to read a book with a plant on the cover. Again, I started reading this one yesterday and I am enjoying myself so much. I'm so happy I finally got into the world, and I'm happy I'm matching it with this prompt. And that, my friends, is The Wicked and the Divine Volume 4 by Gillan and Mckelvey. This cover obviously has some amazing bloody roses on here. You guys have no idea how excited I am to continue on with this series. I put the series down for a long time because Volume 3, as much as it was okay, it wasn't that great because it was more of an anthology than anything. It should have been the 0 volume and this should have been the 3rd, but no, this is the 4th volume, and this is the continuation of the series from the 2nd volume. The coloring is just so beautiful. I might show you something pretty violent. I'm sorry. I really do like this series, even though it's a very mature series. My goodness, I really love it, especially because of the art style and because the mythology is very interesting in it. You have to like guard my heart because, oh boy, like it's very scary and very but I enjoyed it. Next subject I have to take is the history of magic, and I've got to read a book that was published at least 10 years ago. So the first book I'm going to be mentioning is a book that was published in 2006. I cannot believe that was 10 years ago. I mean, I can because I was like 11 then, but still, I was 11 more than 10 years ago. Anyway, The Disobedience by Naomi Alderman was published in 2006. Yeah, this is an option. I haven't read anything by Naomi Alderman. Everybody's read The Power, and I was going to read The Power first, but The Disobedience, it's a good option. Another book is a book that was published in the early 90s, so technically before I was born. Great. South of the Border, West of the Sun by Haruki Murakami. Wait, have I read a single book from him that was published after I was born? I don't think so. I think no, Sputnik Sweetheart I think was published in 2002. Okay, I was born then. But every other book I've read from him has either been in the 70s or 80s. So this one I'm pretty sure was published in 1992. So yeah, that's another option. And the final option I have for this is The Handmaid's Tale, which was published in the 80s. This one's self-explanatory. This one is definitely a classic, so it's not like people aren't gonna believe me if I use this as a challenge prompt book. Yeah. The next subject I've got to complete is Muggle Studies. For this one, I've got to read a contemporary, and funnily enough, I've already completed this prompt with the book that got me back into reading. I mean, besides Divergent, because I'm currently rereading Divergent and I'm really enjoying that. But the newer book that got me into reading, or at least got me into reading new things, The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This was originally going to be my adult book prompt, and again, that's because I love giving myself options, but I've confirmed it to be the contemporary, in case I don't read another contemporary. I loved this. I will be talking more about this in my wrap-up. Amazing. The second last subject we gotta take is potions, and for this prompt you gotta add the next ingredient, aka you gotta read a sequel. I have two options for this, again because options. I could go with one I already own, which is Defy The Worlds by Claudia Gray, which is the second book in the Defy The Stars trilogy. Not really, Constellation trilogy, that's what it's called, but you get what I'm saying. It's the sequel to Defy The Stars. This is an option for me, but if I don't get to this one, I will definitely be reading Defy Me this month by Tahara Mafi. I shouldn't make this promise. I'm not gonna get that written down. Might get into another reading slump. up. Who knows? No promises, G-Swizzel. So I have two options. I have a sci-fi, and I technically have another sci-fi. Alright, the final subject we gotta take is Transfiguration, and for this one, you've either gotta read a book with sprayed pages, or you've gotta read a book with a red cover. Now, if I don't read any or either one of these books for the History of Magic prompt, I will be picking one of these books for the red book prompt, or I could pick The Rivers of London, or I could pick Reign the Earth. I have so many options with this prompt. Yeah, pretty much. I like red, okay? I guess that's gonna be it for this video today, book lovers. I'm not lying when I'm saying this. This is probably the most passionate I've felt in a very long time. I know a lot of you guys are going to be asking me if I'm okay. And I need to address this right now, even though I've got like 3 minutes of memory left on my camera. I need to address this right now. I'm not ready to talk about what happened. So I know a lot of you guys are going to be asking, but I'm not ready to talk about what happened. So if you guys are wondering, I'll probably have to wait till I'm comfortable with talking about it. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything else. I love you guys and I thank you so much for supporting me. I thank everybody who has subscribed to me in this time of drought. Thank you. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to make more content and feel passionate about reading pretty soon. Yeah, that's gonna be it for this video today, book lovers. If you want to purchase any of the books that I will be reading for the Owls today, all the Book Depository purchase links will be down in the description, so you can check them out, you can purchase them, and you can help your girl out in this financial time of turmoil. That would be great. And also, if you want to, you can follow me on my social medias. I'm at G-Swizzelbooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also Goodreads. That's www.goodreads.com/G-Swizzel. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later. Peace.